The sentence you're going to hear that will change everything is this: we've decided in your favor. Don't brace for the but that usually follows good news. Let those words fall all the way down to your feet and take root there. There will be other sentences too. The funds are released. The confusion is cleared. The invitation still stands. We want you back. You'll double check that you're awake when these things begin happening. Good. Stay awake. This is that time you've been praying for, hoping for, almost giving up on. This is your moment to receive what's been prepared specifically for your life, your family, your future. Michael is saying to lay down the weapons you've been using against yourself. The harsh self-talk, the endless replaying of past mistakes, the habit of defining yourself by your worst moments. He's not rebuking you. He's relieving you of a burden you were never meant to carry. He's placing a banner over your life that declares you beloved, protected, and advancing. What if you're not a problem to solve, but a person to bless? God calls you blessed. He calls your boundaries blessed. He calls your rest blessed. He calls your morning routine blessed. He calls your mailbox blessed. He calls the footsteps approaching your door blessed. The messenger who hesitated at the crossroads is receiving divine guidance right now. Turn left, then right, then stop at your house. There's an alignment happening as you listen to these words that you couldn't schedule or strategize. Receive it without letting cynicism borrow your voice or sarcasm ruin your welcome. Don't let old vows of independence starve the table God is setting for you. Need isn't weakness when it brings you to the right source. Asking isn't humiliation when directed toward the one who delights in providing for his children. You thought crowns were only for people who win battles after they're completely over. But God puts crowns on his children in the middle of their advancement because he wants them to move as who they really are, not as who fear says they are. You've been chosen, marked, beloved from before you took your first breath. Now the 2 minutes begin in earnest. Breathe deeply and say yes. Don't demand that your natural eyes see everything immediately. Let your spirit register the turn that's happening. The atmosphere in your house is shifting right now, becoming lighter, cleaner, expectant. The heaviness that's been your unwelcome roommate is trying one last performance, but you can let it perform to an empty audience. You're going to notice things you thought you'd lost forever beginning to resurface. Messages you missed will appear at the top of your screen. People who never apologize will suddenly become gentle in their approach. Prices you needed reduced will suddenly become reasonable. Your hands will relax enough to actually receive what's being offered. Old memories that used to sting when they came up will now only serve to teach and strengthen you. Past fears will look for familiar doors in your heart and won't be able to find them. Don't share prematurely with people who've been invested in keeping you small. There's wisdom in knowing when to testify and when to let roots dig deep in private. Here's your sign that you cannot miss. Today you will receive unexpected kindness, clear answers where you expected silence, and small corrections that open large pathways. Don't despise any of these three. They're working together to soften, anchor, and aim your life toward what's next. You'll sleep differently tonight, waking without the heaviness that used to greet you before your feet hit the floor. You'll meet your own eyes in the mirror and not look away. You'll sense God's presence in your ordinary spaces and not be startled by his closeness. You'll hear Michael's voice at your threshold and not be afraid. God finishes what he starts. He remembers where you put things you forgot because sorrow made you rush. He holds your reputation steady while he restores your reality. He makes it easy to do right things that you thought would always be hard. He sets times and keeps them. Walk through your house with me and speak these words. Welcome good news. Touch your door and say, welcome protection. Touch your heart and say, welcome peace. Touch your workspace and say, welcome clarity. Touch your pillow and say, welcome rest. What you bless with God, he builds with you. What you welcome with him, he causes to dwell permanently. What you acknowledge with him, he causes to multiply. He doesn't plant and forget. He's the gardener who returns with water, light, and careful pruning that never wounds for sport. but only makes room for more joy than you planned for. When voices rise later, trying to convince you this was just imagination, answer them with evidence from your own life. Point to the message that arrived, the call that came through, the provision that cleared, the laughter that surprised you during an ordinary task. Point to the quiet in your hallway, the absence of dread at approaching footsteps, the new habit of not bracing for disappointment. Your miracle is closer than your next breath. It's rushing toward you like an unstoppable wave. You might feel unworthy or wonder why now, but God doesn't lie. What He's spoken will come to pass. What He's promised will be fulfilled. In these next moments, you'll sense confirmation in your spirit through sudden peace, unexpected tears, or physical chills. These are seals from heaven marking you for breakthrough. Don't share this immediately with those who mock or doubt. This is between you and heaven initially. Guard it, treasure it, hold it close. Soon the manifestation will be too obvious to hide, and the testimony will be so loud that even your neighbors will wonder how it all happened so suddenly. This word is the key you thought you'd lost. You've been patting your pockets while standing at thresholds, convinced you'd spend another night locked out. Not this time. The secret is simple, yet weighty. You're not behind schedule, you're perfectly aligned. What you called delay was preparation. What you called silence was gathering. What you called rejection was redirection from spaces too small for your unfolding. You've been measuring yourself by calendars God never wrote on, judging yourself by voices He never authorized. He says you're right on time, and He's the one who makes clocks, controls hours, crafts doors. He needs no permission to bring good news to your address, and today He's sending it where you cannot miss it. You've made peace with almost, but God didn't call you to almost. You've learned to carry disappointment like a folded note in your pocket, but He's replacing it with a new note written in His own hand. Approved. Approved for peace, for laughter without apology, for provision that doesn't wobble, for answers that don't vanish when tested. The fire that never goes out has met the wind that kept blowing your candles out. The shadow at the edge of your courage is breaking like thin ice under warm light. You feel this even now. Warmth starting where you once felt only ache. That's your Father who doesn't flinch at your questions and doesn't withdraw from your weariness. He's here to settle what you rehearse in your mind during sleepless nights. Listen to these instructions because they're friends to your miracle. Clear the surface where you'll put that good news. Make literal room. Open curtains and let daylight touch places where you tend to sit in shadows. Drink water and bless your body because you'll need strength to handle joy. Write down 3 names that keep tugging at your attention and bring gentle order to each. 1 call to make, 1 thing to release, 1 apology to send, 1 boundary to draw. This isn't unrelated to miracle. Joy prefers tidy thresholds. Provision likes honest accounting. Peace appreciates clean rooms. Watch what happens when you do what you can and leave what you cannot to God. Unholy delays are being cancelled. Sentences you thought were final are being reversed. Cases that seemed destined to drag are being expedited by the weight of His intervention. Paperwork buried under other papers is being pulled to the top of every relevant stack. Voices that never returned your messages will reach for you asking forgiveness. Friends who misunderstood will see the complete picture and choose your side without coaching. Closed mouths that owed you clarity will open with plain words. Dry places in your finances will receive rain. Opportunities that seemed too large are making themselves fit your grasping distance, not because you're weak, but because He's gentle. You feel watched by judgment, but He's teaching you to feel watched by grace. You feel like you need permission to be happy. He's giving you that permission now. You feel like celebration invites trouble. He's posting guards at your celebration with Michael and the heavenly hosts stationed at your dwelling's corners. Forgive quickly today. Forgiveness isn't endorsement of wrong behavior. It's eviction of heaviness that has no legal right to live in your soul. Release small grudges like pebbles from your shoe and bigger ones like stones from your backpack. Your posture will rise, your breathing will deepen, your eyes will lift enough to see the courier arriving down your street. Don't wait for people to deserve your forgiveness. Release them because you deserve peace. You're not the jailer of other people's lessons. Let God be their teacher. Your job isn't rehearsing their wrongs. Your job is welcoming your rightful place. Heaven has been negotiating routes while you made your bed and stepped into your shower. Timings have been aligned with your kettle, your commute, your lunch hour, your evening walk. The good news isn't coming to impress anyone. It's coming to join you where you live, so your house no longer holds its breath. This is your moment. Don't skip it. Don't let it pass like others before. Your miracle is in motion. Your good news is coming to your house. Open your heart, open your door, open your hands. The countdown has begun, heaven is moving, and in 2 minutes, everything changes forever. The secret you were meant to find is this: the alignment of your will with God's will, the agreement of your words with what He's written under your name. You've looked for hidden codes and complicated maps, but the treasure unlocks with simple agreement that echoes through unseen realms and causes prepared doors to open. Say yes to the good news coming to your house. Say yes to heaven's timing. Say yes to being seen, chosen, and changed. This isn't performance, it's consent. This is your divine appointment, your moment, your miracle, beginning now. Have you ever felt like heaven went silent, just when you needed to hear from God the most? Like your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling and your miracle was meant for someone else? Well, what if I told you that today, September 1st, everything is about to change in the next 2 minutes? And I mean literally change. This isn't just another spiritual message you'll scroll past. This is your divine appointment, and Archangel Michael himself has a secret that will shift your entire reality in ways you never imagined possible. You know that feeling when you're desperately waiting for a breakthrough, but it seems like every door stays locked. When you've been carrying burdens so heavy they feel like stones pressing against your chest, making it hard to breathe. You're not alone in this struggle, and more importantly, your season of waiting is about to end in the most unexpected way. Here's what's happening right now in the spiritual realm that you need to understand. While you've been questioning whether God still sees you, whether your name is written in His book, whether hope has any place left in your story, something extraordinary has been taking place behind the scenes. Heaven has been preparing something so specific, so tailored to your exact situation, that when it arrives, you'll know without a doubt it was meant for you and you alone. The reason you found this message today isn't coincidence. It's divine orchestration. Think about all the videos you could have clicked on, all the content you could have consumed, but somehow your finger stopped here. That's because Archangel Michael has been assigned specifically to your case, and he's been waiting for this exact moment to deliver what's been prepared for your life. But here's where most people make their biggest mistake. They hear about breakthrough, they get excited for maybe 30 seconds, and then they scroll to the next video, thinking they'll come back to God's promises later when it's more convenient. They treat divine encounters like casual entertainment, missing the very miracle they've been praying for because it didn't come packaged the way they expected. Let me tell you something that's going to sound almost too good to be true, but I need you to receive it anyway. In 2 minutes from right now, as you continue listening to these words, your spiritual atmosphere is going to shift so dramatically that even people around you will notice something different about your energy, your peace, your confidence. This isn't about positive thinking or manifestation techniques. This is about heaven's precise timing, colliding with your willingness to believe that God hasn't forgotten your address. See, there's been a conversation happening about you in realms you can't see. Angels have been dispatched, resistance has been removed, and doors that seemed permanently sealed are about to swing wide open. You've probably tried to figure out the timeline in your head. When will my healing come? When will my finances turn around? When will that relationship be restored? When will the job opportunity present itself? But God doesn't operate according to human schedules. He operates according to divine appointments, and today is yours. Right now, as you're listening to this, there's a stirring beginning in your spirit. You might feel it as warmth in your chest, sudden peace washing over you, or even tears welling up without explanation. Don't dismiss these sensations. They're confirmation that heaven is tuning into your frequency, that your miracle is no longer approaching, but actively manifesting in your reality. The enemy has been working overtime to keep you distracted from this moment. He knows what's about to happen, and he's desperate to make you skip past this divine encounter, like you've skipped past so many others. But something feels different this time, doesn't it? There's an urgency in your spirit, a knowing that this isn't just another video, another message, another empty promise. What makes today special is that it's September 1st, and in God's calendar, this date has been marked as your day of sudden visitation. The prayers you whispered in the dark, when nobody was listening, didn't fall on deaf ears. They were being collected, stored up like incense, until this appointed hour when heaven would respond with such clarity that doubt wouldn't even be able to form in your mind. You need to understand something crucial about how divine timing works. Every delay in your life hasn't been punishment or abandonment. It's been preparation. Every closed door hasn't been rejection. It's been redirection towards something better than what you originally asked for. Every silent season hasn't been God ignoring you. It's been God positioning you for a blessing so significant that you needed to be strong enough to handle it. The good news that's about to enter your house isn't just ordinary good news. It's going to be something that changes your entire atmosphere. Something that shifts your season so dramatically that even your enemies will stand in silence, unable to understand how such favor found you. And the beautiful part is, you won't need to explain it to anyone. You'll just need to live it. I know you've been attacked by discouragement lately. You've faced battles you didn't choose, been surrounded by people who pretend to care, but secretly hope for your failure. You've wondered if maybe you missed your chance, if maybe your best days are behind you. But God has been watching every tear, recording every prayer, keeping account of every time you chose faith over fear when it would have been easier to give up. Here's what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes that you need to pay attention to. First, you'll sense a stillness, like the world is holding its breath. That stillness isn't emptiness. It's rearrangement. In that moment, heaven is moving names, numbers, and alignments you cannot see. Conversations are being influenced, hearts are being softened, decisions are being made in your favor. Then you'll receive a sign you cannot miss. It might come as an unexpected message, a phone call you weren't expecting, an email that changes everything, or even a sudden insight that provides the solution you've been searching for. Don't call it coincidence when it happens. Recognize it as the beginning of your miracle unfolding. The third thing you'll notice is a release happening in your spirit. It'll feel like shackles you didn't even know you were wearing are suddenly falling away. The anxiety that's been your constant companion will lose its grip. The fear that's been making your decisions will find itself without a voice. The heaviness that's been sitting on your shoulders will lift like morning fog disappearing at sunrise. But listen carefully, because this is where many people miss their miracle entirely. When these signs begin manifesting, don't immediately start sharing with everyone around you. Not everyone will understand what's happening, and some people are actually invested in keeping you small, keeping you struggling, keeping you dependent on their validation or assistance. Guard this miracle like the precious gift it is. There's a time to testify and a time to incubate. Hold this close until God tells you whom to share it with. When He says, speak, speak boldly, not to prove yourself, but to honor the one who did this for you. When He says, be quiet, be confident in the privacy of miracles that are still taking shape. You've been asking God for a sign you cannot miss, haven't you? Here it is in His own words to you through me. Today you will receive a kindness you didn't request, a clear answer where you expected continued silence, and a small correction that opens a large pathway forward. Don't despise any of these 3 elements. The kindness is meant to soften your heart. The answer is meant to anchor your faith. The correction is meant to align your direction. What's happening right now isn't just about solving your immediate problems, though those solutions are absolutely coming. This is about restoring your dignity, your sense of purpose, your confidence in God's goodness toward you specifically. You're not going to have to beg for what's being given to you. You're not going to have to prove your worth to receive what already has your name on it. The reason this miracle has taken so long to manifest is because God was preparing you for something bigger than what you originally asked for. He wasn't delaying your blessing. He was expanding it. He wasn't ignoring your prayers. He was orchestrating circumstances to maximize the impact when his answer finally arrived. Think about the last few months of your life. Every disappointment, every setback, every moment when you felt forgotten was actually God positioning you for this breakthrough. He was moving people out of your way who would have hindered your progress. He was closing doors that led to dead ends. He was rearranging your environment to receive what's about to be released. The 2-minute countdown I mentioned isn't just symbolic, it's literal. From the moment your heart truly receives and accepts what I'm telling you right now, heaven begins a sequence of events that will be undeniable. Your phone might ring with news you've been waiting for. Your email might chime with an opportunity that changes everything. Someone might knock at your door with information that shifts your entire situation. This is why Michael has been standing guard over your life, protecting you from forces that tried to interfere with this appointed hour. He's been holding back the harassment that tried to convince you that you're cursed. He's been silencing the mocking whispers that said you always miss the important messages. He's been ensuring that what belongs to you couldn't be stolen by anyone else. The provision that's about to enter your house carries something deeper than just meeting your physical needs. It carries dignity restored. You won't have to shrink to fit where God is seating you. You won't have to apologize for taking up space in rooms where you belong. You won't have to prove your worthiness to occupy the position that's been prepared for you. Here's something beautiful about God's timing that most people don't understand. He aligns his movements with your routine, your habits, your natural rhythms. The good news isn't coming to impress your neighbors or make a show for social media. It's coming to join you where you actually live, where you make coffee in the morning, where you fold laundry, where you sit quietly with your thoughts. Watch for God in small mercies first. The line that moves faster than expected. The parking space that opens right when you need it. The solution that presents itself for a problem you've been wrestling with. These aren't random coincidences. They're God's way of saying, I'm here, I'm moving, and bigger things are coming. Then watch for him in larger mercies. The return of something you'd given up hope of recovering. The yes you stopped asking for. The relationship that finds healing when you least expect it. The opportunity that presents itself perfectly timed for your next season. Now I need to address something that might be rising in your heart right now. You might be thinking, but I always miss these opportunities. I always seem to be a day late or $1 short. What makes this time different? This time is different because God himself is guaranteeing the delivery. This isn't dependent on your performance, your perfection, or your ability to earn it. The anxiety that might be creeping in as you hear these promises needs to be addressed directly. Speak to that anxiety like you would speak to a trespasser. Tell it the lease has changed. Tell it the locks are new. Tell it that Michael stands at your door with authority that your enemy cannot challenge. Don't negotiate with fear when it tries to remind you of all the times things didn't work out. Don't give it space to rehearse your failures or catalogue your shortcomings. Those minutes belong to faith now. Those thoughts belong to expectation now. Those emotions belong to hope now. Put your hand on your heart and feel how the rhythm begins to steady as you align with heaven's peace. That's God walking through your inner rooms, blessing doorways, touching tables, anointing the pillow where you'll rest tonight without replaying old anxieties. He's sanctifying ordinary spaces so joy can sit down and stay. There's a relationship in your life that's been strained, maybe even broken. God is lifting that weight off your back right now. If reconciliation is righteous, he'll do it cleanly without hidden barbs or chronic suspicion. If release is necessary, he'll do it mercifully without scorched earth or dramatic exits. Either way, your worth isn't on trial, and your capacity to love won't be punished. In your work life, that door that's been creaking for months without opening is about to swing wide. Expect clarity to replace confusion. Expect conversations that used to intimidate you to become natural and productive. Expect the meetings you've been dreading to feel like sunlight through windows you forgot were there. Expect new language to find you, words that advocate for you without aggression, words that honor your contribution without apology.